because these three amazing people have been running the coolest readathon I can think of, which is the March of the Mammoths. That takes place each March, and for the past 2 years I have been participating, but I didn't have a Booktube channel. I was reading, but I kind of missed out on the whole share your feelings thing, and I'm gonna change this. So the people who are running this, they are Alex of Big Al Books, Lukash, who changed his channel name, and I'm really bad at this, A Cruel Reader's Thesis, and Jason of Old Blues Chapters and Verse. And I link everything down below because that is what people say in their videos, and I'm just copying everybody. But what I wanted to talk about are first books that I have read during the previous readathons in the last years, plus one book that I didn't read in the readathon, but it fits the challenge and I really, really want people to read it so I can scream at them about it. And I have 2 books that I read last year that I did not finish, so I can talk about that. And then I have a couple of books that I want to try to read this year. The first year I read the Priory of the Orange Tree, which, well, you can see I read this because my fingers yeah, made the font disappear, so watch out for that. I think a lot of people picked that up that year because it had just come out and it's like exactly 800 pages. And it's a really easy mammoth, I think, because it reads really, really quickly. You just fly through it. It's a really good story. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. And at some point I might even reread it, so that's why it's still on my shelves. So that was a really, really good pick. And then the next book that I bought for the first readathon, and then I didn't end up reading it or finishing it in March. It took me like 2 months to actually go through it. But then it turned out to be like my favorite book, or, well, one of my favorite books, and that's A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. This is the biggest book I've ever read. And the thing is, okay, look, pages don't say anything or thickness doesn't say anything. So, these 2 books, they look the same, no, don't they? Like, this one is even smaller. You would be wrong. This one has 1,535 pages. This one has 800. Don't be deceived by paper thickness. So, what is this one about? Actually, it's everything in a year. So it follows the life of a couple of people in a northern Indian town. And the whole story bracket of this is that there's this young woman, Lata, who's supposed to get married. So the book starts with the marriage of Lata's sister, and her mom has now time and energy to only concentrate on Lata to find her husband. And this whole book takes place over 1 year, and it ends with a marriage, or yeah, with a wedding. So this book, you will learn about shoemaking, you will learn about the partition in India, you will learn about riots in the street, you will learn about religious conflicts, you will learn about northern Indian music, which is like my favorite part of this whole book. There's so much in this. I haven't read it or reread it since, so I'm a bit hazy about on the details. But like every time I flick through it, I'm kind of tempted to just start reading again, which I think is a good sign. Pick it up and read 1,500 pages for fun. So the other book that is always contending with this one for the place of my favorite read is this one. This is The Eighth Life by Nino Haratischwili. Don't look at the cover. It's the German cover. It's the German version, but this book was translated into English last year. And, well, the English cover is a lot nicer. And, yeah, so it does not look like this. But this is a great, great book. It basically tells the story of the 20th century through the family story of one family. So it follows 7 different women in Georgia and going from Georgia. So for a huge part of the 20th century, Georgia was of course part of the Soviet Union. So you have a lot of movement and a lot of ways to describe and tell history of the whole region, more or less. And it's all connected to chocolate. And that's about what you need to know. Yeah, I kind of want to reread this as well. So let's just reread everything. So last year, the dumpster fire of 2020 was also a dumpster fire of my reading. And I had planned on reading 2 Mammoths, or I plan on reading everything on my shelves, but that's a different story. So I picked up 2 classics that everybody raves about, or a lot of people rave about, and so I thought that would be easy reading. And the first one that I actually started in January of that year is Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. And well, I mean, obviously those are old copies. I stole them from my grandma. I didn't steal them. I took them from my grandma's shelf, which she wants me to do. And they're actually quite nice. Those are translations of from the 1950s, but that doesn't matter because most of the German translations are really, really old as well. Anyway, so who cares? And I enjoy this format. Those are the old Maness books, so German watchers will know what I'm talking about. And I think actually that this is the perfect size of a book. I love it. So this is the first volume. So you see I made it through that. And then I stopped like, I don't know, 10% of the second volume or something. Basically because I know how this book ends. And I am furious about that. Because I am furious, so if you know, you know. And I wasn't in the mood to keep on reading that, and well, I mean, then the pandemic happened, so. The second book I tried to read and failed miserably is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Everybody loves this book. Don't hate me. So people say like you're flying through the pages, it's such a good reading experience. So I made it like halfway through, which is, you need to know, like already 700 pages or something. 670. I went and read until the 51st chapter on page 676, and then I just couldn't be bothered anymore. And I was really struggling with the fact that I just don't want to continue reading this because everybody loves it so much, until I just recently realized it's a revenge story. I hate revenge stories. I really hate them. And this whole book is a revenge story, which is kind of the selling point why people love it so much. Yeah, know your taste. So, let's get to the books that I plan to read this year. Or I kind of imagine myself to read during March. Well, you need ambitions in life. So I'm currently dipping in and out of the whole journey to the West. So the thing is, if you talk to people who went to school in China, they will tell you, like, of course they have read The Journey to the West. It's like, of course, everybody knows the story, everybody knows the adaptations, everybody knows everything, like, you know it. So I didn't. And then a couple of years ago, this German publisher actually put out a full or a complete translation of The Journey to the West. This is, by the way, half of it. There's a second volume. I was really anxious to read it, but it's super expensive. It's really expensive. It's like 88 euros for the hardcover. So the year after that, they actually brought out the paperback, which was really surprising in a way, because they're not making money on this book. They are not. They do it because they like literature. It's a choice that they consciously made. I am sure about that. It's still an expensive book. It's like half price now. So I asked my parents to give it to me this Christmas, which they did. So now I have it and I can read it. 3 other books I want to read are a kind of a rediscovered classic. It's Gabriele Tergit's Effingers. So Gabriele Tergit was an author who lived in Germany during the first half of the 20th century. And I've read her other book, which is set in Berlin in the 1930s, which was really interesting. And people compare this quite often to Thomas Mann's Buddenbrooks. Well, it's pitched as a Jewish Buddenbrooks, which sounds great, but I read somebody's comment the other day, and she described it actually like, well, I think it's rather Thomas Mann on speed, which also sounds great. So I'm really looking forward to see it. I don't think it has been translated though, which is a pity, but I will talk to you about that anyways. And the last book I have is this very old edition of Sigrid Undset's Kristin's Lafransdatter. Over a year ago, I actually saw this in a used bookstore, so I picked it up for like €2. And then I opened it, and this is how it looks. It is teeny tiny font. So I have not read it yet. I really want to though, because people do rave about it. So this book has 900 and a bit pages. So that's about that. Let's see how this goes.